Hello and good morning to you all. So today's topic of discussion is climate change, under which we shall be acquiring some knowledge about global warming, ozone layer depletion, acid rain and impact on human communities and agriculture. As we know, climate is a very important factor for sustaining the growth and lives of various living organisms in the planet, isn't it? It is very much important for the periodic rainfall, periodic sunshine, etc. Okay, so climate change refers to the definition of the alteration in the average atmospheric conditions of a region that had prevailed for many years. It is the biggest environmental concern at present. Okay, so the basic difference between a climate and a weather is the atmospheric condition for a limited period of time, and whereas climate is the atmospheric condition prevailing over a long period of time. Okay, so climate is a very uh, important aspects. Okay, where it comes to the sustenance of various uh, living organisms. The climate change affects the average annual rainfall over an area as well as non-periodic uneven changes of seasons. Okay, depending upon the amount of precipitation, the various seasons are there. Okay, the various this one temperature throughout the year can be observed. Okay, so changes in the climate is a matter of concern for the living organisms as they are directly dependent on the atmospheric conditions for their nutrition, growth, reproduction, development and sustenance of their health and life. Okay, so a number of factors related to the atmospheric conditions. Okay, as you can see here, it is written nutrition, growth, reproduction and development, etc. Okay, are dependent upon the various atmospheric conditions. Okay, so change in the climate adversely affects the physiological process of our living organisms and thus impairs their growth, nutrition and development. One major consequence of climate change is the global warming. We are all aware about this term since our school days. Now, what are the causes of climate change? The main cause of climate change is the greenhouse effect. That is mostly the release of the greenhouse gases, okay, triggered by human activities, mainly such as burning of fossil fuels like coal, wood, etc., which increases the concentration of carbon dioxide, which is a major greenhouse gas, okay, in the atmosphere. Factors like deforestation, increasing human population, land deterioration, automobile and industrial emission, etc., contributes directly or indirectly to the climate change. Natural factors like the volcanic eruption, forest fire, natural gas leakage, floods, etc., also directly or indirectly affect the climate. Okay, so here are a number of factors, out of which the main factor is the release of these greenhouse gases, which causes the greenhouse effect. Okay, and mostly these are due to the various natural and anthropological activities due to these factors. Okay, like deforestation, increasing human population, land deterioration, exhaust from automobiles and industries. Okay, under natural conditions, it is due to the volcanic eruption, forest fire, etc. So, what is greenhouse effect? The accumulation of greenhouse gases leads to the absorbance or entrapping of solar radiations that bounces back from the Earth's surface, okay, resulting in the increase in the temperature of the Earth. This phenomenon is termed as greenhouse effect. Okay, as you all know, the solar radiations, when it falls into the Earth, part of it is absorbed, part of it is reflected back. Okay, so the of the uh, reflection and absorption are dependent upon the presence or absence of the greenhouse gases. Okay, in terms of the concentration of the greenhouse gases, if the concentration is increased, then obviously the radiations won't be available, they won't be uh, reflecting back into the source from where they came, isn't it? So in turn, it there leads to the increase in the temperature of the Earth. Okay, so the causes of the greenhouse effect are mainly the emission of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, water vapor, etc., from automobiles, industrial emissions, deforestation as a result of deforestation, etc. Okay, and other factors includes the combustion, burning of fossil fuel, volcanic eruptions, etc. What are the consequences? The ill consequences of the greenhouse effect includes melting of the polar ice caps and snow, rise in sea level, inhospitable environment condition, changes in the pH, depending upon which various physiological process occurs in our body, okay, as well as the living organisms, which directly or indirectly affects the health and life of organisms. Okay, what are the effects of climate change on human health and agriculture? First and foremost, illness, death risks are the result of adverse climate change. Okay, rise of food and waterborne diseases, insufficient food and water supply, these are all various ill effects of human health. Mental fatigue, agony, mental illness are especially vulnerable, and especially they are vulnerable to the extreme heat conditions. Okay, Various diseases related to the skin respiratory systems are observed as a result of climate change. The climate change affects the normal growth, reproduction, and development of many living organisms depending on it. Okay, so these are the effects of climate change on human health. What are the effects of climate change on agriculture? Increased droughts and floods conditions are likely to be the effect of production variability. Droughts in the conditions where there are minimum rainfall, and floods in the conditions when there is melting of the polar ice caps and rising in the sea level or water level. Okay, indirect climate change impacts include increased competition from weeds, expansion pathogens, alteration in the crop ecosystem, etc. Okay, that means the damage in the crops is observed when there is a drastic climate change. Okay, and not only that, a number of disease related factors are also arises. Now, the unfavorable climatic condition hampers the physiological process of the plants, affecting its growth and development. As usual, we know the favorable temperature is very much important for carrying out the physiological activities inside our body. Okay, the normal time period required for the crop plant is disturbed. Okay, such as the normal time period for flowering and fruiting, etc. It gets hampered. Then the germination and overall development is also affected. Okay, and we know that in some plants are very much temperature sensitive, very much water sensitive. So in those cases, the dormancy of the seeds remain intact for very long period of times, and thereby it affects the time period of germination. Okay, and ultimately the development of the plant. The bad air quality hampers the nutrient, water concentration, pH of the soil, and useful materials needed for the crops. Obviously, the nutrients contents are affected, the pH of the soil is affected, thereby affecting the plants. What are the control measures of climate change? Plantation of trees is very much important. Okay, so overall, if you plant trees, a number of issues can be resolved. Reducing and conversion of emission of greenhouse gases, mostly through the use of catalytic converters. Okay, and other sources, other equipments. Okay, this type of greenhouse gases can be converted, they can be reduced, and they can be checked. Okay, and this sort of technique can help us in controlling the climate change, controlling the factors responsible for the climate change. Okay, now checking vehicular and industrial emission is very much important. Okay, the harmful gases which are less must be converted into some less harmful into some normal products. Okay, that doesn't affect the environment. Okay, through the use of various converters, desulfurization instruments. Okay, using of water also it helps in some cases. Then HEPA filters, etc. Number of measures are there. Using of alternative energy resources. Obviously, we know that most of the greenhouse gases are emitted from the burning of due to the use of the fossil fuels in any forms. Okay, so in order to minimize the extent of the release, we can change our energy resources from the fossil fuels to that of the alternative energy resources. Okay, such as the wind energy, water energy, solar energy, etc. This sort of energy are eco-friendly. Okay, so making our commute green. What do you mean by commute? That it means a regular journey. That means every day we need to go to school, every day we need to go to the office. So on the way we are using our vehicles and all, right? So what we can do, we can use that pooling system. Okay, whereby a group of students can get together into a single bus, and then they can move ahead to their destination. Okay, now imagine if there are multiple number of students in having their own individual vehicles, personal vehicles. So what would happen? The extent of emission will increase, isn't it? So we should observe the green type of journey. Okay, that means by using that pooling system, or by just by avoiding using of vehicles for a minimum distance, covering a minimum distance. Okay, becoming more conservative with energy use. Obviously, this for the household, those people who are inside the house or inside the office, etc. So if you don't require the fan, the electricity, this bulb, if you don't require any sort of such items, right, during the daytime, so you should switch it off, you should put it off, because that requires some amount of energy, isn't it, right, in the form of electricity. And for the generation of electricity, a number of fossil fuels or many other non-eco-friendly sources are utilized. Okay, so in this regard, we should try to conserve the energy usage. The 3R technique. Okay, obviously this recycle, reduce, and reuse technique can be used to minimize the extent of this factors released causing the climate change. The spreading awareness is very much important. Suppose we are unaware about what is climate change and what are the factors that are responsible for the climate change. Maybe we are contributing the factors without having a proper knowledge. So this type of awareness is very much important. Okay. Using LED light, this is just for an example. Okay. Using LED lighting. Okay, LEDs, light emitting diodes, okay, use 90% less energy than incandescent bulbs, that is the traditional bulbs which we are using, and half as much as compact fluorescents. They convert electrons to photons effectively using electricity to create light without giving off heat, which wastes energy. Most of the light energy is converted into your heat energy, right? So this heat is the wastage of energy. So in order to minimize it, the modern day scientific world, they uses these LED lightnings. Okay, so this is just a referential examples, okay, as how we can save our energy in the homes and offices. Okay, next is global warming, a very common topic which we all have read through in our school days. Okay, so global warming simply means the gradual increase in the average temperature of the earth. Okay, causes of global warming mainly due to the release of greenhouse gases, okay, which accumulates in the atmosphere, and thereby they absorb the solar radiation that would otherwise have bounced back off the earth's surface and escape from the earth, right? So retaining the global temperature in the earth. What are the effects of global warming? Mainly it affects the human health and agriculture. In terms of the human health and agriculture, first and foremost, glaciers and snow-capped mountains are melt, right, causing flood and thereby affecting human lives and property, giving rise to many diseases. Extreme temperature causes shortage of water and drought-like conditions. Various waterborne respiratory and genetic diseases, skin disorder, etc. will increase in occurrence. Okay, weak individuals with high susceptibility will tend to be most vulnerable to heat-related illness. Obviously, mostly the weak individuals or the elderly couples, they are mostly affected due to the heat. Global warming affects the crops, which ultimately affect the human health. Okay, we are dependent upon the crops for food, right? So if the crops are affected, or indirectly it is directly or indirectly it is affecting us also. Global warming affects the climate adversely, thereby affecting the human health. What are the effects on agriculture? Global warming leads to increase in pest insect population. Okay, as per this study, it is seen that with the increase in temperature, it leads right to the increase in the pest production. Okay, pest population. So harming it, if the pest increases, then obviously it will harm the crops, right? Most extreme temperature and precipitation prevents the crop from growing. Extreme of anything is very much harmful, be it precipitation or be it temperature. Thereby, both of these extreme conditions affect the growth of plants. Higher greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide affect the crop yields. Okay, higher greenhouse gases level reduce the nutritional value of most of the crops. The physiological process in crops are hampered, thereby affecting their yield, growth, and development. Global warming affects the climate adversely, thereby affecting the crops. Okay, so these are all the harmful effects of global warming on crops. Now, what are the countermeasures of global warming? Like I said, plantation of trees is a boon. If we plant trees, a number of issues are resolved. Reducing vehicular traffic, that means just I said if you have to provide a short distance, better you find out some other measures to cover the distance. Okay, reduce and stop emission of greenhouse gases. Obviously, this is very much important. First, to reduction in the usage of any sort of things which can generate pollutants or may contribute to pollution is very much important. You should reduce the extent of using any substances. Then transportation must end reliance on fossil fuels, very important, and must be powered by clean electricity. That means we must shift from fossil fuels to electricity for transportation purposes. Okay. Now, electricity production must come from clean energy sources such as hydro, wind, and solar. Like I said, it's a cleaner fuel. We should use cleaner fuel which are eco-friendly. Industry must treat the effluents before release. Okay, before releasing of any sort of effluents, the industry must treat it. Okay, in order to remove any sort of toxic particles or pollutants. Utilize green energy for all energy needs. They should utilize the green type of energy for its energy needs. Okay, not the coal or fossil fuel, etc. Residential and commercial owners must become efficient with heating and cooling of the buildings, as well as utilizing green energy such as solar and wind energy. Okay, land use and forestry. Cutting down of trees not only releases large amount of carbon dioxide, but it also affects the overall balance in the nature. Okay, so thereby we should very much uh, wisely use the land for such uh, mitigation measures. So this just a representational image, okay, just to have an overview of what might lead us to in the future if we don't take a step at present. So first and foremost, if for burning anything, if there is smoke coming out from something, so there is an indication that might be that is a that might catch fire someday. Okay, so it might be the temperature is rising. That is, it is not yet reached the ignition temperature. Once it reaches the ignition temperature, in the third picture you can see it will start burning. Okay, this is just a representational picture. It doesn't mean that the earth will look like this if it will burn like this. Okay, just just for reference I have used these pictures. Okay, so overall at the end you can see in the fourth picture, lower picture, what you can see, there are two different views of planet Earth. Okay, one fully flourished greenery all around, isn't it? And on the other, it is totally a pathetic scenario. So it is we were to decide whether we need the picture on the left or we need the part of the picture on the right. Okay. Ozone is a colorless gas which is found in the stratosphere region of the Earth's atmosphere. It protects us from the harmful radiations coming from the sun, which otherwise affects our respiratory system, eyes, and the skin. Okay, so ozone is a layer present in the stratosphere region. Okay, however, ozone is also present in the troposphere region, but the stratospheric ozone layer, it protects us from the harmful ultraviolet radiations. Okay, from reaching the ground. Okay. How does the ozone is formed? Ozone is formed in two steps. First, our ozone molecule, due to the effect of ultraviolet light, breaks into individual oxygen atoms. Then those individual oxygen atoms, they combine with another oxygen molecule to form a triatomic oxygen molecule, that is ozone. Okay. The reduction in the concentration of the ozone in the stratosphere region is termed as ozone depletion. Scientists first recognized the potential for harmful effects of chlorofluorocarbons on ozone in the early 1970s. This discovery of the ozone hole was first announced in the paper by the British Antarctic Survey's John Furman, Brian Gardner, and Jonathan Shackley, which appeared in the journal Nature in May 1985. Okay, they are the first one to report the discovery of ozone hole in a journal paper. Okay, in the year 1985. So what are the causes of global warming, or you can say the ozone depletion? The depletion is caused mainly by the chemicals containing the elements chlorine and bromine, that is known as halogens. One of the major reasons for ozone layer depletion is the emission of chlorofluorocarbon, HFCs, volatile organic compounds, etc. from various sources. Sources includes the industrial emissions, refrigerators, aerosol sprays, paint industries, etc. Okay, they are mostly responsible for the release of various type of ozone depleting substance, or ODS. The extent of destruction of the ozone molecule by this chlorofluorocarbon can be estimated as such that one chlorine atom can affect 1 lakh ozone molecules. Okay, so it is very much clear to you now that mostly the ozone depleting substance such as the chlorofluorocarbon, halogens, HCFS, etc., they are released from various sources such as industries, refrigerators, aerosol sprays, paint industries, etc. Okay, which affects the ozone layer present in the stratosphere region, and thereby creating a lower depletion in the concentration of the ozone layer, which would be known as the ozone hole. Okay. So here you can see how the mechanism acts. First and foremost, you can see the CFC molecule, and when the ultraviolet light hits the CFC molecule, one chlorine is detached from the CFC molecule. Okay, and that free chlorine, it goes and it reacts with ozone molecule, thereby knocking out one single atom of oxygen, okay, from the three. And then you can see the formation here, it is forming the chlorine monoxide. Okay, one chlorine and one oxygen atom, it forms the chlorine monoxide, and this when another oxygen atom comes and knocks this chlorine monoxide, thereby the chlorine is released, okay, from the chlorine monoxide, and the oxygen combines with another oxygen atom to form the oxygen molecule. Okay, so this keeps on repeating, and in this process the chlorine keeps on affecting the ozone molecule. Okay, So you can see a single from the single chlorofluorocarbon, okay, the chloride which is released gets it first goes and interacts with the ozone molecule, then it gets separated from the chlorine monoxide, and then again it's affecting the another ozone molecule. So in this way it keeps on repeating. Okay, that's why it was written in the previous slide that the extent of destruction of ozone molecule by the CFCs can be estimated as such that one chlorine atom can affect 1 lakh ozone molecule. Okay, so in this process, what are the effects of ozone depletion on human health? Mainly this cataract and cancer are the effect due to the ozone layer depletion as a result of the ultraviolet radiation exposure. UV rays suppress the human immune system. Okay, constant exposure to UV radiation can cause photoallergy, resulting in the skin irritation and outbreak of rashes. The depleted ozone molecule can cause difficulty in breathing, chest pain, throat irritation, hamper lung functioning, etc. Okay. What are the effects of ozone depletion on agriculture? Physiological and development process of the plants are affected. It impacts timing of the development of the plants. It interferes with the distribution of the nutrients, and it affects the metabolism of plants. So what are the countermeasures of ozone depletion? First and foremost, we should avoid using any ozone depleting substances. Okay, that is to reduce. We should reduce the use of ozone depleting substances such as CFCs in the refrigerators, air conditioners. Okay, how? By replacing the halon based fire extinguishers with some other substitutes. Okay, minimizing the use of vehicles. The vehicles emit a large amount of greenhouse gases that lead to the global warming as well as ozone depletion. So therefore, we should minimize the extent of vehicle use. Using eco-friendly cleaning products mostly. Okay, so this is very much important. If we use any sort of cleaning products, any sort of chemicals that might hamper the ozone concentration is very much ill or very much problematic, isn't it? That might cause very much drastic effects. So what we can do, we can just use any sort, you can just use some substitute in place of those harsh chemicals that might deplete the ozone layer or might act as an ODS. Okay, so afforestation, trees absorb these toxic afforestation, trees absorb these toxic chemicals through their stomata or pores, effectively filtering these chemicals from the air. Trees are also very much helpful in mitigating the greenhouse gases effect by trapping heat, reducing ground level or ozone levels. Okay, so see, the importance of trees can be felt from this fact that they help in absorbing the toxic chemicals, and then effectively they filter those chemicals. Okay, they help to mitigate the greenhouse gases, and they help to reduce the ground level ozones. Okay, so acid rain. What is acid rain? Any form of precipitation, okay, having chemicals like the sulfuric acid and nitric acid, okay, whose pH is less than 5.7 is termed as acid rain. So here you can see the pH scale. Okay, from 7 to 14 it is considered as basic or alkaline, and from 0 to 7 it is considered as acidic. Actually not 7, 0 to less than 7. Okay, and 7 is considered as a neutral. Source: while a small portion of the sulfur dioxide and nitrous oxide that causes acid rain is formed from natural sources such as volcano, most of it comes from the burning of fossil fuels. Okay, the major sources of sulfur dioxide and nitrous oxide in the atmosphere are burning of fossil fuels to generate electricity, vehicles and heavy equipment, manufacturing, oil refineries, etc. Okay, so how is it the acid rain is formed? So oxides of nitrogen and sulfur released from various sources like coal burning power plants, factories, automobiles, and volcanic eruption, etc., reacts with the rainwater and forms the nitric acid and sulfuric acid respectively. Okay, when the clouds precipitate, the acids also pour down with the rain falling on the mountains, monuments, aquatic bodies on land, thereby affecting the land vegetation, aquatic organisms, monuments, and quality of the soil. So here you can see a pictorial representation of how the acid rain is formed. So first and foremost, the nitrous oxide and sulfur dioxide from the various sources such as industries, etc. Okay, they are released in the atmosphere, thereby it reacts with the moisture present in the cloud and forms acid which precipitates down in the form of rain, snow, or hailstones, etc. Okay, sometimes it remains suspended in the air. Okay, what are the effects of acid rain on human health? It reduces visibility when it is suspended. Okay, when it is wet, dry, acidic conditions. Okay, when it is suspended in the atmosphere, it reduces the visibility. It releases particulates that are causative agents of lung disorders and heart diseases. Acid rains can cause severe burns when it comes in contact with the human body. The acid rain affects the groundwater available for the drinking purpose. It affects the crops and the source of food of human beings. Okay, so this is a practical representation of the effects of acid rain, okay, in different parts of our body. What are the effects of acid rain on agriculture? It weakens the plants by washing away the protective film of the leaves. It shunts their growth. It makes the inhospitable environment for the plants, okay, changing the pH of the soil and water bodies. It also affects the aquatic animals. The quality of and production of the products are affected by affecting the soil pH, nutrients, etc. It kills the useful microorganisms present in the soil that are helpful to the plants under natural conditions, and it interferes with the nutrient concentration in the soil, thereby affecting the crops. It affects the normal physiological process of the crops as well. Okay, here you can see the different effects of acid rain on plants. The cell becomes abnormal, rate of growth is reduced, root systems are damaged, okay, regeneration is reduced, early leaf and needle loss, necrosis of the leaf tissues, okay, etc. Biomass, soil fertility is reduced, bacterial activity is inhibited, leaf nutrients are leached. So these are various effects of acid rain on the plants, okay. So overall, the harmful effects of acid rain can be categorized as, like, first, in living things, such as plant, animal and aquatic life. In plants, mostly it damages the leaves and decreases the fertility of the soil. In humans, it is mostly affecting the respiratory portion of our body, okay. And in aquatic lives, it makes the water very much acidic, thereby affecting the fertilization of the eggs, okay, of the fishes. And in case of monuments, it discolorizes the monuments, okay. The best example is that of Taj Mahal in India. What are the control measures of acid rain? It reduces the amount of first is the reducing of the amount of sulfur dioxide and oxides of nitrogen released in the atmosphere, okay. Using less energy, using cleaner fuels, removing oxides of sulfur and oxides of nitrogen before releasing it into the environment through the use of flue gas desulfurization or catalytic converters, okay. So coal, or by using the coal which contains less amount of sulfur, okay. Washing the coal to reduce the sulfur content. Natural gases, use of other sources of electricity such as nuclear power, hydroelectricity, wind energy, geothermal energy, etc. Reducing the effects of acid rain by liming. Powdered limestone or lime water added to water and soil to neutralize the acid, okay. So lime water is basically used, limestone is basically mixed with the soil or water so as to neutralize the acidity of that particular, okay, water or soil. So how does the flue gas desulfurization works? It first and foremost, it functions to remove the sulfur dioxide from flue gas, that is waste gas from the industries, okay. Consists of a wet scrubber and a reaction tower equipped with a fan that extracts hot smoking stack gases from the power plant into the tower. Lime or limestone in slurry form is injected to the tower to mix with the stack gases and react with the sulfur dioxide present in it. It produces pH neutral calcium sulfate that is physically removed from the scrubber, okay. Sulfates can be used for other industrial purposes, okay. Mostly the limestone, that is calcium carbonate, is made to mix with the gas, okay, containing the sulfur dioxide, and thereby a reaction takes place which leads to the formation of a neutral pH neutral calcium sulfate, okay, which is physically removed and it is used in various industrial purposes. So this is an example of this flue gas desulfurization, okay, apparatus or instrument, you can say. Here what happens, the flue gas is inserted into the tower, and in the tower the limestone is being sprayed in the gas, okay, which undergoes the reaction which I have stated, okay. That is the calcium carbonate, it reacts with the sulfur dioxide to produce calcium sulfate, and then the clean gas is released back into the environment, okay. And next is your catalytic converter, mostly for the nitrous oxide gases, okay. A catalytic converter is an exhaust emission control device that converts toxic gases and pollutants in exhaust gas from an internal combustion engine into less toxic pollutants by catalyzing redox reaction, okay. This catalytic converter is mostly used in the vehicles, okay, to remove the nitrous oxides. So how does this catalytic converter work? First, you can see the exhaust gas generated from the vehicles, such as the hydrocarbon or the carbon monoxide or nitrogen oxides. They get inserted into this chamber, particular chamber, which is equipped with the conversion catalytic active materials, okay, which converts the harmful gases into the less harmful gases. Okay, you can see the hydrocarbons are converted into water. Okay, and the reactions, major reactions are shown below. Okay, carbon dioxide reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide reacts with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide. The hydrocarbon, mostly the methanes, they or ethane, they convert it with oxygen to produce the carbon dioxide and water. And you can see the nitrogen oxide reacts with carbon monoxide to produce carbon dioxide and atmospheric dinitrogen. So that means the harmful gases are converted under the catalytic converters, okay, due to the various catalytic active reactions, okay, and mostly the catalytic active material used are aluminum oxide, ceram oxide, rare earth stabilizer metals such as platinum, lead, palladium, etc. Okay. Now, so what is the summary of all this? Using alternative mode of transport or public transport, using the carpooling system more and or of course be more working and healthier uh, can reduce the amount of the factors responsible for causing acid rain. Okay, reduce the use of air conditioners, use lights and fans only when needed, and reduce the use of home appliances to conserve energy. Reducing the use of non-renewable source of energy. Okay, using of coal that has low sulfur content. These are all some the mitigation measures for the controlling the acid rain. Okay, so this was all for today as of now, and in case you find any difficulties, please do let me know. Okay, so I hope the concepts are clear and for you, and if you have any queries, so do let me know. Till then, thank you very much.